Hello everyone, welcome to Dark Fae Tarot. You are joining me on the end of a coolish day in Brussels. It's actually not that cold. It's approximately, I think, 45 to 50 Fahrenheit, which is quite warm, overcast. But anyway, welcome to new subscribers. Welcome to those who already know me. This is the Dark Fae Tarot in Brussels. So without further ado, let's jump straight into it. January favorites. I haven't been doing so many of these videos because sometimes I'm like, what am I meant to say? But anyway, let's just do a recap because I think it was a bit of an interesting month for me. So without further ado, the main deck of the month, which many of you already know, is the Tarot Nuages, which I did a monthly deep dive on. I use this deck every single day throughout the whole month of January. I absolutely loved the deck. It is, of course, it's by an artist called Niederman. Hopefully I pronounced it correctly. It is, of course, it is slightly, well, it is pippish because it is more towards the Tarot de Marseille. The artists themselves, they do talk about that in their guidebook. It's based around kind of like this goblin, fae, elfish and penguin creatures in the clouds, kind of like storytelling. The artwork is stunning, as you can tell already. It is very much kind of like an ink-based tattoo style kind of like art. Not something that I normally gravitate towards, and yet I wanted to work with this deck for ages, especially because of the name Tarot Nuage. It is, of course, referring to clouds because Nuage is French for clouds. And yeah, I just thought this would be perfect for January or February, and it was. I loved this deck. Very clear readings. If you're looking for something that is more on the Marseille side of things, a sepia muted tone color palette, this deck is perfect. I just really enjoyed this, and yeah, I look forward to working with this deck again. I will definitely be keeping this one, and I don't have that many Marseille style decks, so it was good to have this. It was good to try this, and yeah, it's not a system that I use. I mean, Marseille is not that different from RWS or anything, but it's not a system that I use very often. I said this to a friend. I sometimes find the pips a bit repetitive at times if I'm not careful, but these were gorgeously illustrated pips. And, you know, like I said, they kind of like cross over into the RWS territory. And so, yeah, I really enjoyed this deck, and I definitely recommend it if this is your kind of art style. It is a US Games mass market deck retailing for around 20 euros, so very affordable. I don't know where my cat is, so I'm just looking for him right now. Red Honey Bunny, where is he going? Oh, he's drinking water. Okay, so without further ado, I will go on to the next item. So I will just show you some of the oracles that I used with this deck. Well, it wasn't so much, it was only two really. So I went and got The Universe Has Your Back by Gabrielle Bernstein. Now, I already had her Super Attractor, and I wanted to try this one. So yeah, I went and got this. This is a Hay House deck. It's retailing around the 20 euro mark, something like that right now. And you know, it is a very, I mean, you know, bit of a trigger warning here. It is a positive deck, and I had a friend, I don't know how to say this, but that person really likes positive decks, and even they were like, it's a little bit, I think it was a little bit much, definitely. I mean, you know, if you're used to a lot of love messages, then this is one is for you. It's just very heavy in like the whole self-love area. So, you know, I recognize that I have chosen fear, and I choose again, I choose love, you know, or I am the loving energy of the universe, or well, this one's okay, but like, you know, some of them are pretty heavy on the love boat, let's put it this way. Oh, this one's obstacles are detours in the right direction. That's okay. I mean, yeah, but I mean, they are all okay. I shouldn't be saying it like that. I mean, what I'm trying to say in a very I'm trying to coach this as well as I can, but it's a deck which, like, you kind of like, you got to be ready for it. It's coming at you. The love messages are coming at you. The reason why I wanted to work with this deck, and I wanted something different from Super Attracted, because I'd used that one quite a bit, was because I like this kind of art style sometimes, and I've started to notice that within me, that when I have decks which are quite busy or have intricate details, which of course, you know, as I was showing you with the Tarot Nuage, you know, you've got very intricate details here. I mean, this is a really good example. I like to pair that with something which is a little bit more sparse in its art history. Let's put it this way. And that's what I was looking for. Of course, you know, one of the best decks in town, which I'm going to talk about one day again, is the Sacred Creators Oracle. I got that last year. I heavily used it, and you know, it was like an instant hit with me. And that deck, you know, is going to be, you know, I think that is one of the best decks, Oracle decks there is, basically. But I wanted, again, you know, something new to work with, so that's why I went and got this one. I really do like the art style in this. I like the approach. I know so many people say to me things like, but you can make this at home yourself, and I could, and I will, you know, like, it's not like I can't, you know, this is very simple stuff. But sometimes I'm one of those people that I just also want to like try something, you know, that another creator has made, and that's what I wanted, you know, in these instances. So I enjoyed it. You know, it's a really great buddy to Super Attractor. You know, it's a really great buddy. If you want something that's less lovey-dovey, let's put it that way, I would recommend Super Attractor. And yes, you guessed it right from the way I'm talking, I will be getting Spirit Junkie as well and giving that one a try and a whiz soon at some point, because I just really like these kind of like pastel-y, white, sparse decks. I don't know how else to put it. It's right up my alley, basically. So that was one part of it. The other part of it, which, you know, I really do need to say this, is that when I'm working on certain areas of my life, and it's going to happen, there are times when it's really important for me to use decks with affirmations or a positive slant. And I don't mean that in the toxic positivity, because so many people talk about it. I don't talk about it in the toxic positivity stance. I don't mean, you know, to stick a plaster over a great big wound in our life. But it is really important for me to counterbalance when I'm looking at something that's very heavy or very dark or very, very deep. You know, if somebody's going through, like, you know, if you're going through certain counseling, or if you're going through certain psychotherapy, or also working on it with other people, sometimes it's important to have things, for me anyway, that raises my vibration. I really do need that. Otherwise, I could go down a very, very dark hole. And so for me, this was a very helpful deck. I don't think everybody needs to use this all the time or anything, but it helped me. And so, yeah, oneness is my true nature. Oh, there you go. So it's a very positive vibe deck, and I sometimes I feel like in the community there is this feeling that we don't like this nice washing or anything, and I hear that term. I hear the term toxic positivity and stuff. But you know, some tarot tubers have said it, and I echo it, that there are times when it's important also to balance the energy of you know, heaviness. For me anyway, I need that. Maybe not everybody does, but I definitely do need that, and I'm really grateful that there are decks on the market that cater towards that. So yeah, so maybe that's a video that I'm going to do, and I think it's going to be a video that's maybe not for everyone, but I'm going to do on decks which really are towards that lighter side, the light side. I don't want to say light worker, but you know what I mean, towards the light side. So anyway, so yeah, that was the it's going on backwards. That was The Universe Has Your Back by Gabrielle Bernstein, published by Hay House. And the other deck of hers that I mentioned was the Super Attractor. There are 3. There's also Spirit Junkie. So there you go. Okay, so moving on from there, let's talk about decks that have come into my arsenal. And these were some decks that I had ordered and wrapped and not unwrapped. And then there were some decks in here that were like, anyway, you know what I'm saying. Okay. So the deck that was new, and then I'm going to talk, sorry, I'm going all over the place here. The decks that were kind of like new that I do want to mention, there's quite a few, but is first and foremost the Earthly Souls and Spirits Moon Oracle. This is by Terry Foss, written and illustrated by Terry Foss. Indeed, I understand Terry Foss has done 2 of these. They were originally indie decks. I was not able to purchase them indie. This was when I'd just come back to Tarot and Oracle. Working with those kind of like, you know, divination tools, And I was really happy when this became mass market because, of course, being in Europe, I could then actually order it, you know. So these are the backs. And so, yeah, this is a new deck in my collection. And me being the person that I am, you know, and the things that I love, especially as you all know by now, the forest and, you know, the dark neck of the woods kind of thing. These elements just really speak to me and my being, you know. They just, the etherealism, the colors are just gorgeous. It's almost like, you know, she's walking around in my inner being and really bringing out images that are really kind of like part of my soul's journey, you know. That's how I want to describe it. So she's done a great job. I'm a little child. I was a little child that would look out the window and dream of being part of a coven of witches and looking out for broomsticks. And then it's like when kids dream of Santa, I dreamed of witches kind of thing. So anyway, yeah, this deck I think has just done so amazingly well. And I'm really glad that I managed to get hold of the mass market version. And just a tip for you all, I don't know if this is helpful, but when I see a deck mass market coming out, and I know I've been wanting it, or, you know, I order it very, very soon as I see it, because that's before the price jump will happen. Once the deck becomes popular, there is a period, a mass market period, in the mass market world I'm talking about, where they just go into these ridiculous prices. This happens in Europe. I don't know about the US. And then, you know, right now, this is like 40 euros on Book Depository for Belgium. I mean, maybe because it varies, you know, where the deck is going. Sometimes they play the price game very, very well. The platforms know what they're doing. But this is right now billed for 40 euros from Book Depository to Belgium. I mean, I'm like, no. And it's not even available on my Amazon platform. It's sold out. I bought this for like 21 euros as a pre-order because I spotted it. And I just knew, like, I knew I wanted it. I was just like, I'm just getting it. So that's a really good example of sometimes just jumping on it, basically. The other decks that I want to talk about, which have struck a chord in me, is of course Wisdom of the Shadow and Wisdom of the Divine Feminine. I originally wanted the Wisdom of the Divine Feminine because I saw this on Liz's channel. Liz is West Star Tarot. And after I saw this, I thought I want to get that, and then I thought, well, I might as well just get both. So let's just open one of them. I'll give you a quick flip through. This is an indie deck, and I bought both of these, I think. Yeah, definitely both of these from Tarot NL, which is an indie store in the Netherlands. So if you're in Europe and you're interested, that's where I got them from. They're retailing around 50 euros each right now. So these are the backs with the Wisdom of the Shadow. As mentioned in my opening of both of these decks, the actual production quality is just superb. There's no other way to put it. They're like matte, not rose petal, more matte silky, but very good high quality. They're not too thick, so it's not like a piece of cardboard. And of course they have this beautiful holographic gilding. I was really blown away by the production quality, and of course they come with a very good guidebook. So yeah, I'm really glad I got these. This is an art style again that I don't have a lot of, but I have decks that will go very, very well with this already. I know that. So oracle decks. So I think it's going to be an interesting journey with this, because I can already see myself working with these decks a lot further. And you know, they've got cards in here. I'm holding this one up. They've got cards in here which I just I love. You know, it's you know, like I'm so glad now that we have decks with panic in them and things like that. When I was going through my, you know, initial spiritual journey, which began in my 20s, you know, I hit a bottom in my life basically, and when I began that journey, there was a lot of this fact that, you know, panic is bad, fear is bad, anger is bad. And I'm so glad that in these circles, I shouldn't say those because it's my circle too, it's more and more becoming a case of like, no, it's not about it being bad. It's about looking at how those things are coming to the forefront, why they come to the surface, and helping to treat those and and tend to those a lot better rather than just being dismissive, you know. So some of you may recognize the language that I'm talking about, but it was very, very judgmental when I was younger, and I personally really just I abhorred it, basically. You can just tell from my face. So decks like these are great because they really are about the wounds that I feel that in society before, people were just not ready to talk about. It was almost like, let's just pretend that doesn't happen. And for me, that is toxic. Personally, that is toxic positivity. When we stop, we pretend it will just go away. It's not going to just go away. So I'm so glad that decks like these help us to explore in a really safe and kind manner. What a beautiful card. Okay, so that's me babbling on about this enough. If you want to hear me more talk about these specific cards, let me know. I keep saying, like, let me know. I do already have. I've been doing this now. I've been going back and trying to find all the things that people asked me to go further into, because I felt really bad I hadn't done that. So I am trying my best to recover the ground. I know one of them was the Ted Andrews. Let me just grab it here, actually, because it's right here. I know I'd said, you know, I might do a video on how I use this deck. And I know somebody had said to me, oh, yes, please do tell us, because I think that a lot of people have this deck and they're like, how are you using it? So I think there was that. And then, of course, there's the side-by-side for the deck I'm about to show you. So there's quite a few things that I know that I'm now starting to list, like I do need to go over, and that's because I'm going to be changing also my recording, the way I record things, so it will help everyone. Keeper of the Sacred Bee, that's coming up by Kelly Batten. This came into my collection 2 weeks ago, last week, 10 days ago. So I am a big fan of the whole bee thing, and the reason why I'm a big fan of it, I've said this I think about a gazillion times, is because for me the bee is a very Capricorn thing. Busy worker, going around, making things happen. It's a very career, ambitious, 10th house energy, slapping it down and kind of like, let's get on with it. It's the goat that climbs the mountain bit by bit. I mean, have you ever been to like some of the Greek mountains where you see the hardiest of goats and you're thinking, how did it get up there, kind of thing, you know? That's like the bee that just survives everything. And of course, they are so important to our environment. So I love these decks because they really bring me close to some people in my life. This is the gilding on this one. When I saw that this was coming out, I saw the Kickstarter campaign, but I already knew that indie sellers here were going to stock it. So as soon as I knew that that it was going to happen, this deck, I was like, I'm just going to wait for the indie seller to get it. And then, as I mentioned in my story, when I unboxed this deck on camera, was that Raiska over at Autocrat had sent me a message on Saturday. I just got back from my run, a Saturday morning run, and the message said that this was in stock at Taranel. And before I could even acknowledge her or say thank you, I clicked and went and bought the deck. It was like a 20-second drive-by buy. You know, it was like a drive-by purchase. It happened so quick. So yeah, and I got the deck in my hands like on Monday or Tuesday, like 2 days later, over from the Netherlands. So yeah, this is of course RWS based, where the other one is Thoth based. I love them all. And I have noted that there was I suggested doing a side-by-side or, something I could do. And I think there was some comments like, yes, please. So I will do that. Can you hear that shuffle? Look at the quality. Look at the bags. Yeah. So yeah, I just, one thing, by the way, when I see this kind of bag, it reminds me a bit of these decks that I don't have. And I know they've stopped producing now, Threads of Fate decks. I wish I'd got my hands on those, but unfortunately for me, the price point was not working. And yeah, I mean, I was looking at like 150 per deck, and it was out of my budget kind of thing. I mean, it's not just about budget. I think it's also about, do I feel comfortable spending 150 euros on a tarot deck? And that there were several of them. So I'm the kind of person that's like, do I need to get them all? Which would be an investment of like, I don't know, 500 euros, which, yeah, it was just something I wasn't, yeah. So I hope that makes sense how I'm talking about it. Okay, so from that, we're going to switch pace again, sorry, is tarot and oracle decks that were sitting on my altar and I've been kind of like really working with in the background. One of them is the Hero's Journey Dream Oracle. This is by Kelly Sullivan Walden, artwork by Rasuli. I've had this deck for a while, but and I love the artwork. I love Rasuli's artwork. However, and I think the guidebook's pretty good as well. However, and look at this is a Blue Angel deck. This is, by the way, is one of their older decks because this one's glossy. This is before it went matte. They went matte. I like it glossy. I've got no problem with that. These are the backs. Look at that. Gorgeous deck. The artwork is phenomenal. The bit where I'm going to get... I don't like some of the keywords. I'm sorry, there's no other way to put it. The phrases at the bottom, I just don't like them. I find them sometimes a bit really like... I don't know if you say it in the US, oh, so it's North America, I should say, or maybe not. I don't know, like in the other parts of the English-speaking world. You know when you say naff, like they're naff. Weird is the new cool. Sorry, I'm taking the piss out of this. Like this is like my inner teenager coming out right now. But it's like some of them, I like when I see the keyword, it just makes me want to go. And the problem is that the deck is really nice. The artwork is gorgeous and the guidebook is great. But there's something about the keywords. Some of them are okay. Like in the Castle of Dreams, okay, and it says become altered by the color of your dreams. Okay. But there's a couple. You're invited, it says suit up, sharp, and open up. Okay, that's fine. But then there's a few that just, okay, this, nothing, okay. What would your higher self do? Your divinity in blue jeans. Wheel of time, your charge is to enlarge. But there's some that just, breadcrumbs of bliss. There's just some that just make me like think, am I like in a 90s disco or something? And I'm from the 90s. Like I was a 90s teenager. I'm like a 90s teenager basically. Like I'm not a millennial. Yeah, I feel like this got trapped in a time warp somehow. And there's something about it that just I can't. Some of them is fine. Some of them I can look over, but there was one or two that just, I saw it and I couldn't get it out of my head. You know when you see something and you just, it's like your eyes are just kind of like taking it in. And there was one that was like, I know what it was. It was called, I think, I'm trying to find it now. So you can all have it burnt into your memory. You'll all be sitting there going, it wasn't that bad. Here it is. Trip the Light Fantastic. I feel like I'm in a disco. So anyway, I think that I understand where the author was coming from, but there was something about it that just, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm being really mean and harsh on this oracle, but anyway. So the reason why I've been spending time with it though, is that I got into my head, well, I just need to get another Rasuli deck. And there's loads, right? Because I have the Sufi Wisdom. I just need to get another Rasuli deck. That's all I need to do. And I kind of like start to look and, you know, they're beautiful Rasuli decks because I love the artwork. The reason why you didn't see me, look at the gorgeous artwork. The reason why I didn't go and buy it was that there's a part of me that, there's a term in psychology called churning. And churning happens in homes where there's hoarding, where people think that they're getting rid of stuff and all they do is they move all the stuff from one room to another. But in their head, they're decluttering. And it's a part of hoarding and the psychology of hoarding where we just actually just move things around. I actually take that towards consumption as well, where I think I'm kind of like letting go of something and then I just go and replace it with something very similar. And then it's like, oh, look, this is more perfect for me. And I felt a little bit like me going and hunting for another Rasuli deck was actually just doing that. And I was like, no, I'm not doing that either. You know, when I catch myself when I do that, I'm like, no, that's not really helpful either. So I decided to invest in this deck. What a grand term. And actually spend some time with it. And I have to say, the messages and the guidebook are really, really good. I need to do a proper deep dive on this deck. The guidebook is good. Clearly, you know, the author's taken their time to create this. It's just me having to get over that hump. And the other thing is to not dismiss things as quickly, you know. So that's part of something we're going to be talking about later on this channel. And the other deck that I just wanted to show quickly that I have also wanted to talk about is the Witch's Familiar Oracle cards by Barbara Meikle-John Free and Flavia Kate Peters, designed by Kate Osborne. This is the second of their decks that looks like this, and then I have the spell casting. So I think now I have 3 of their decks, and I'm not stopping. There will be more of their decks coming into my collection for sure. These two, I wonder if they're going to watch this video. These two, I think maybe it's a cultural thing because they are Brits, you know. So maybe it's something to do with like, I kind of like get a little bit of our culture. I don't know what it is, but their decks really just, when I draw one of their cards, it's almost like it's done like a laser treatment of my scan of my aura and just showing it to me like, that's where you're at right now. I'm like, okay. So this has got gold gilding, and these are the images. I have to say straight off the bat, because the way this deck looks and what it reminds me of, and I've said this a lot, is that very 2004, 2006 Harry Potter vibes kind of thing, 2003, that kind of thing. You know, I feel like I'm going into a Harry Potter movie kind of thing. The reason why I need to bring myself sharply off is that this deck is not a cheesy, cute deck. This deck has some very powerful messages at times. If you're looking for an oracle that's going to be an oracle, this is really good for that. If you're looking for an oracle that's going to tell you, do some journaling, say some affirmations, let it go, and things are going to be great. If you're going to look for that, no, don't go near this deck. This deck is going to be like, and it may even say some things where it's like, you know, there's a forewarning happening basically. And I know some people don't like that in certain decks, which I respect. Then this deck, it may not be for you basically. This deck may say something and you're like, oh, I love this deck, but I would also, you know, this is not something that I'm going to pull daily. These are potent enough for them to be a card a week. This is more like the week ahead kind of thing. So I need to do a special on these writers because, yeah, but anyway, enough said. There's more coming. I find them to be very, very interesting, and I really am going more and more into the depths of, like, you know, my home country as well in that sense, because I feel like they have a very good grounded approach to witchery. I don't even know if I'm making sense when I said that. I was like, what? But, you know, that they have a very, very interesting approach to witchery. That's what I'm going to say. And so, yeah, I really, I'm enjoying this deck. You know, I can see why they're popular with some, maybe not with everyone, but why they are popular with some people. I can see why. I think that this is the kind of stuff which may not be for everyone, but it's for me, you know. There are times when I see decks that some people show on their YouTube channel, I can really see that that's, you know, that how they're falling in love with it. And I feel like that with these decks for me, which I can't say it's going to be the same for everyone, maybe, I don't know, but I love them. So yeah. Okay, and then finally, I'm just looking at my table just to make sure I covered everything. The book that I read this month is Bones and All by Camille D'Anglais. I don't know if she's pronounced it D'Anglais or don't, because normally we would not have the E there. That's why I'm a bit like D'Angeli actually, sorry, but it's just like that E there is really tripping me up. Marine, if you're watching me, help me here. Because it's really tripping me up here, that E. But yeah, the D'Angely, basically. I want to say D'Angely because it's like this. Yeah, anyway. Yeah, I read this because I was really clueless. And the reason why I'm going to say clueless, sorry, is I have been in a dip around reading. I think one of the things that I'm having really a bit of I'm stuck at is there's a huge amount of young adult fiction out there, which is great but it's young adult fiction, which I know it sounds really strange, but I wouldn't have read it even as a young adult. And there's nothing wrong with it, but it's just not something that draws me. I'm more drawn to, you know, when I was 11, I used to read Dickens, you know, like the Pickwick Papers and Bleak House. And by the time I was 12, you know, I was reading Tolstoy. So, you know, I'm one of those. So, and a lot of BookTube right now. And then I've started to find channels which are a bit more, I think, they do contemporary fiction. They do find, now, I said all of that, and then this is a young adult novel. So you're probably thinking, but why are you then holding this up? This is not so much for me fantasy. This is a young adult novel, but it's not fantasy. It's cannibalism, basically. And I loved it. I was just like, this is fun. This was a great book to read. I'm not going to go much into it because it is cannibalism and I don't want to do spoilers, but the characters were just great because I'm saying it's fun and it's actually quite dark. But the you know, I really like the pace of it. It's got that teenage feel. My teenager would have liked this, actually. My inner teenager would have loved this. You know, it's got that kind of like, you know, it's for a younger audience, I guess. And that's my delivery. Hold on a second. Hold on 1 second. This is my delivery. Oui, bonjour. Bonjour. Puis, parfait, s'il vous plaît, le 12e pont, j'ai ouvert ce 12e pont. Parfait, monsieur. Sorry. That was the second attempt today, and I really wanted to catch the delivery, so I'm so sorry. And my editing skills are just not there right now, so you're gonna have to just bear with me as I take a delivery, but there you go. So anyway, Bones and All by Camille D'Angely. It was just, you know, I'm just so happy that I got, like, you know, I was saying, sorry, it's young adult, but it's been done in a slight, you know, more mature way. And there's something about the fantasy stuff which can be mature, but I'm not feeling it. Am I making sense here? But anyway, I really like this because it was fun, and it was like it's got that kind of like stomach churning feel. It's not too graphic. It's not graphic at all, actually, but it's got a stomach churning feel, and that's what I like. So anyway, and I've discovered some new booktubers. Well, not new, but new to me, booktubers, which, you know, it's more for me, the generation and the stuff that I recall growing up. So yeah, I'm having a bit of like a moment where I'm like coming to life in this area of my life. And definitely there's more books on the horizon that I will be looking at. So if you're interested, I hope you stick around for it. So I'm going to wrap up now. Thank you for joining me for my January favorites. More is to come as we go ahead in the month. I've just had a tarot deck arrive. You're probably thinking, what did she order? That was another deck that just came through. So more decks are coming in, and some decks have also left. So it's like, okay. So yeah, you know, it's also part of like, you know, letting go of things that don't work for me. But yeah, you know, there's a lesson learned. I'm going back to the hero's journey here. There's a lesson learned in sometimes in being dismissive as well. So, you know, that was a really important lesson for me this month. So other than that, I will stop there, and wishing you all a lovely midweek, and I will see you all soon again on Dark Fae Tarot. Take care now. Bye.